Hi guys, Jay Knowlton here once again. I've just woke up from a nap. It is Tuesday. It is a holiday in Japan. It is Yamanohi. I think I've just said the word it or is multiple times very quickly. But yeah, it's Yamanohi today. I was actually working today. I was helping onboard a person who just moved to Japan. And oh my God, Japan hasn't changed in 13 years. 5 hours in the ward office yesterday, 4 hours in Docomo today. Didn't get anything finished that was supposed to get finished. What I've learned is that a lot of people coming to Japan have very unique situations and histories, which makes things even more difficult for Japan to welcome them in. But I can't really talk too much about that because it's about people's situations. However, what I am going to talk about today, well, first of all, is I've been talking about how I'm very close to monetization on YouTube, and they have actually upped the required hours. Luckily, not until February, so hopefully I'll have made it by then. You have to have got 8,000 viewing hours, which is basically like close to 100,000 views if it was 5 minutes per view. And a lot of people have outraged. It's like the PR thing, it's the visa thing all over again. Having the rug pulled under you for what could be unrealistic requirements. However, please watch this video like the whole 8 9 10 minutes to help me get to that monetization level much quicker. However, what I'm going to talk about today is actually something pretty interesting. Again, related to the PR visa changes. However, I'm just going to tell my dog to stop biting her foot because she's just had a haircut. Wendy, stop it. There we go. Oh, she listened. So actually, this is something that I haven't actually seen, and now she's staring at me. And this is something I actually haven't seen talked about in any English news, Japanese news. Oh, by the way, the Japan Times, I guess it's the online newspaper. I don't know if they have a physical newspaper. Made an article about people's reactions to the PR changes. And actually, I was interviewed for it. They asked my opinions. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but they asked me specifically to give an interview just because they wanted to get opinions from people who maybe wanted to see the side from the perspective of Japan and weren't so outraged, and they couldn't find anyone who would agree to do the interview, or not many people who could agree to do the interview. And again, my part in the interview, it's not totally like too supportive. One thing that I mention is I think what's important is that we don't start fighting each other. I hope there's no like conflicts between people who couldn't or have had the rug pulled under them, which is what I say, and then people who already have PR or high earning foreigners. I hope there's like not like a gap between those people now and then they start getting at each other. And what we should really be doing more is actually supporting each other. So, for example, if there are people who have been in Japan a long time, have kind of trouble getting in or maybe networking or finding a job, then maybe we should be doing more to support those, which I agree with because I said it. However, this is something I haven't seen on English Japan news, at least yet, but it is in the Tokyo Shimbun, the Tokyo news, the Tokyo paper. It's about how last week on the 9th of August, which is Sunday, is today the 11th? So 2 days ago, there was actually a protest about these changes to the visa requirements in Takada no Baba. Takada no Baba is in Tokyo. I think it's in Shinjuku Ward, I believe. I used to go to Takada Baba a lot when I lived in Shibuya because I had a private English student. He was a university student who was taking the IELTS exam, and I would meet him there twice a week. He would pay me 4,000 yen a lesson. So we would do 2 times most weeks. So that's like an extra 25 to 30,000 yen just for not much work, luckily. But that was like oh god, 7, 8 years ago. So he must be in his like close to getting 30 now. And Takada no Baba is somewhere I went about 11 years ago because there's a restaurant called Komito Sakasu. Sorry, I'm going on all sorts of tangents. Where you can eat things like snakes, bears, kangaroos, lots of beetles. I had crocodile tempura, which tasted like chicken, but you might as well just eat chicken. Anyway, the protest was about the changes to the PR in Takada no Baba in front of the station. Interesting choice. I wonder why they chose there. I guess there are a lot of foreigners passing through, and especially on a Sunday. I need to double check if today is actually, yeah, the 11th, so it was on a Sunday. About 80 people showed up, which in a mix of foreigners and Japanese people. I didn't see anything about the protest beforehand, so maybe a lot of people didn't know. But good on them for doing it. What is important is even if I particularly don't agree with somebody, it is important for them to speak up, raise their voice, let their opinions be heard in a place that being heard is worth it, in person, where other people can see it, where other people can engage in the conversation. Twitter is not the place to be doing this. You end up in an echo chamber of people who completely agree with you, and then it just becomes lots of stupid fighting, people quote retweeting each other, calling each other names, people who are just habitually online, and then people who are habitually online arguing, calling the other people who are habitually online, and then going back and forth. And it gets pretty stupid. And there was some quotes from a few Japanese people. There was like I think a graduate student who talked about how I'm just got the article here. It's in Japanese again, so it's basically like saying with these changes to the regulation, Japan is basically trying to select the kind of people that it wants to stay long term, which could be kind of discrimination on their choice of work. And to be honest with you, like I do kind of agree with that. Of course, we do talk about salaries and the salary requirement being like the what is it, the key to sustain your life and that kind of salary you need to build up a good pension, good savings, buy a house. But at the same time, it's like the kind of jobs that don't meet those requirements are also very important jobs. Like farmers make very little money. However, farmers do a very good and very necessary job. So those kind of people kind of should make more money if you're working in care. Like the example of the lady Jessica from the Abema TV show. She is a caregiver, like working in a care home, and she also works nights. That job should be better paying. And I said that those kind of good acts and good deeds in form of work. For example, if you're a recruiter, like who are you benefiting apart from the companies? You know, you're helping already big successful companies help find successful people while you make a big commission. The salary is good, but your job isn't necessary to help the world move forward. I am an online English teacher. I make an average about 550 to 6,000 yen a month, but not all of my students live in Japan. So, am I doing a better job at providing a better future than somebody who's literally growing the food that we eat? You know, it gets into all sorts of shaky lines. So it could be seen as some kind of like discrimination that some people are deemed valuable or not valuable. Because at the end of the day, you know, the salaries are decided by others. And I think what is important is that it does highlight that you can submit your opinions to, I think it's immigration, by September 3rd. Now, I think the other thing as well is that that has to be in Japanese, which makes sense. One of the language requirements for getting permanent residency is N2 level Japanese. So if you can't express yourself in Japanese, who's really going to listen to you? There was one more quote in here that I think I found from like an immigration lawyer. I think it was. Was it immigration lawyer? So I'm doing my technical back end stuff during filming, and I don't care. I think there was one more. I'm gonna keep going. Oh yeah, so there was an attorney who has been helping people with immigration, yeah, and he said, like, who would, who would keep going, like, who would want to come here? And the thing is, it's like, it's not who would want to come here because of the rules. It's like, who would come to a place that would just suddenly do this without proper discussion and discourse. It's like with the business manager visa and with this kind of stuff. And they also made an article which was talking about how they're exploring more ways in which visas can be taken away. There's like not proper parliamentary discussion, and then things can just suddenly be changed. So it's not a matter of it being like the rules are good or not. It's just the fact that they can just suddenly change them, and that's it. Is not necessarily good for people. But yeah, as always, guys, I'll leave the article down. I just want to make sure people have access to news around this issue and can find it, because I think a lot of English providing services don't do a good enough job at letting people know what's really going on in Japan. So it's better to give you sources to the Japanese articles. But guys, thanks all for watching. Watch all the way to the end. Well, I guess it's too late. You're already at the end. And I'll see you all next time.